Hey guys, it's me Michelle from Gliss to Glam Crafts, and today we are going to be doing the mock-up for this specific grad stole right here. So we're going to be doing the mock-up for that. I had someone ask me if I can give them the template, which I went ahead and created a link for that. You can purchase that. Well, not even purchase. It is going to be for free on my website. This is going to be the one and only free template that I'm going to offer. And it's going to be for these stoles that I currently use. I get these off of Amazon, and I will have the link in the description. And you'll see the link to go to my website to go ahead and just download this template. So like I said, this is going to be the only time it's actually going to be for free. So go ahead and head over to my website and get that, and let's get started. I have a whole video going through how I go through Canva to achieve this whole thing right here. The video, I'm going to let you know now. You can probably see how long it is. It's about an hour. But I went into detail. I went into why certain things was the way it was. And it's just a basic overview of, and it's very, very basic. It's literally everything I used to create this one. I didn't go too far into it because I don't know all the ins and outs of Canva yet, but I am learning. And I'm definitely going to share that with all you guys as I learn. Like I said, if this helps you, subscribe to my channel, like it, make a comment, let me know that it helped. And then send it to other people that may need help. So go ahead and watch the video on how I created this, and I'll see y'all afterwards. Okay, so you guys, I went ahead and made this template for free. So you will see it linked. It's going to take you to my website to do it. I kind of actually want to see how many people use this template. So it's gonna be in the description. You can go straight to my website and download it. Like I said, it's 100% free and you can use it. This is specifically for a 70-inch grad stole. I did make it for any other length because this is the one I use and this is the one that is in my videos. However, I am thinking about making a template for each size, or you can actually just resize this one if you need to. You just need to know how to measure. Just need to know what you're doing. I do have the stoles that I use linked in the description also, so if you want to just grab the ones that I currently use, so that way everything matches up, go ahead. Now let me show you how to use this template. This is actually going to be a show you how to use a template and kind of a basic breakdown of Canva. Someone asked me if I could just do a breakdown on how to design in Canva, and I'm just going to do a very basic one, and you can kind of learn from there and go from there. This is how I learned. I was just playing around with stuff. I watched a couple of videos and I just took it from there. So I'm actually going to be working on an order. So let me get everything together. Let me go to the actual order. And let me upload these pictures. So the first thing you want to do, so I have them laid out side by side. So that way I notice when they're on separate pages, the left and the right side, my customers always wants to see them next to each other. So I kept it like this. Now, if you watch my actual video on how to print this with a smaller printer, you will see how we can get it on 2 different pages and download it from there. Here we go. So this particular order, she wants, let's see. Okay, so she wants me to ombre this stole, and the colors are black, purple, gold, and white. So what I think I'm going to do is, she's telling me that the gown is purple, so she wants the main color to be black. So what I think I'm going to do is I'm probably just going to go, I don't know if I want to do black to gold. I don't know. Let me see how that looks. Okay, so When you come into Canva, if you want to just use now, okay, so these are frames. So if you drop anything in this frame, it's gonna take over everything. So let me show you. What I'm gonna do is I'm gonna go into uploads and hold on. Actually, let me make a copy of this because this is what you guys use. So let me make a copy. Get this one out of here before I get all confused. And let me change this to Grad base for me. All right, so like I said, these are frames. So if you drop anything in here, it's gonna take over that whole thing. So like, say I bring this over, you see it drops right in there. So to take that out, just hit the delete button or the backspace, and then it'll take it out. Now, what we are going to do is, let's start here. If you want your stole to be a single color, all you do is click on the left or the right side and then go here to where you see the little red slash through the circle. You can come here and you can change it to whatever color you like. Now that's the basic, that's the very basic level of changing the colors. Me personally, nobody has asked me for a solid color like that. I've always been asked to ombre it. Now if you scroll down to gradients here on the left side, you see that they have like these pre-made gradients that you can use. Now, excuse me, I feel like I'm getting sick, man. So me personally, I don't like their pre-loaded gradients, so I come up here and make my own. So if you scroll back up on the left side and you see like this little color wheel, you can click on the plus button, and then, so like I said, we're going to be doing black. So I'm just going to click on the yellow part, and then I'm going to take this little circle here and I'm going to bring it all the way down to the black side. Now the black color code is always nothing but zeros. So since I usually go, my ombres are going from the bottom up, I'm just going to make both of these bubbles black. And then for the gradient, oh, you can't even see it. Hold on. So use a different color. So I think I'm going to try this gold. Usually what I do is I come over, oh my God, excuse me. And I Google the color codes for certain colors that I want. So I'm just going to go to Google and I'm going to put color code for gold. And then I like, let me see, I kind of like this color, this one right here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to type in that color code, DB9D00. And that gave me that color code of gold. Now if I don't like it, oh my goodness, I'm so sorry. If I don't like it, what I can do is I can click on the bubble, and then I can kind of take this circle here, and then I can move it around to get the color gold that I desire. I actually like this one a little bit better. Now, I don't know if she's gonna like this black to gold or not. But she said she wanted ombre, so I'm going to just leave it like this. So usually what I do is when I send them the mock-up, they'll tell me if they like it or not. And if they don't, I can just go back in here and switch off the colors. Now, how you do the gradients, the ombres in Canva is you want to select, so you see here where it says style. So you can select what type of gradient you want. So the second one shows it from black going into gold from left to right. The third one shows from black to gold from the bottom to the top. Has kind of like a little slant to it. And then this one shows black to gold from top to bottom. So at the top, you see black. At the bottom, you see black. And then it fades into gold in the middle. I actually like this one. I'm surprised I never use that. But anyways, and then the fifth option is more so like a circular gradient. So you can kind of see it black from the bottom and to fade up into the orange. I mean, I'm sorry, not the orange, the gold. Okay, so I like for my ombres to not go all the way up to the top. So my ombres usually stop right in the middle or just a little bit above the mid section of the stole. Now, how you achieve this is you want to go, so you can see here your pre-made, your own custom pre-made colors. So when you click on this little box is going to come up, and you want to make sure you're on the gradient side. Now for the bottom portion, I like to have it as the darkest color for as much of that color as I can. So I just hit that plus button, and you see how it gets a little bit darker. So I usually have up to 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 bubbles. And I purposely do this because I like to see, I like for the black to be just, or whatever bottom color you have, I like for that to just show just a little bit more than anything. So you choose your gradient, how you want it to look. I don't like this one because it's showing it rounded right here, and I don't like that. So I don't use that one. I don't use this one. I usually use the first one to take me from the bottom to the top. Now, how I get the ombre to only come to that midsection is if you're using two colors, if your bottom color is going to be black and then that middle portion is going to be gold, what you want to do is you want to copy this first color code, which is your gold color. So it's FFC 947. I usually just copy it so I don't make no mistakes. And I use two more of these bubbles. So we're going to change this black to the gold, copy and paste that code there, and then switch this one to gold also. Now we're not done because the gold is going all the way to the top. So what you want to do is you want to click on the first one, and you want to keep it as the gold color. Do not use black because it's going to fade into black. It won't fade into white. So you want to take so this bar right here shows transparency of the color. You want this transparency to be all the way down. Now you can see the number here. You want this to go all the way down to 100%. So as you do that, you can start seeing white up here at the top. We're going to grab another one. We're going to make this to about, I usually do about 14%. And then this one here, we're going to make it about a 50%. Now you can see you don't have too much gold there. So what I usually do is I go all the way over to the right, make another bubble, make this one, make the black one gold. And then you start seeing that fade going in. Now, I don't like a hard line on the, I don't like a hard line when we're doing ombres. And you can clearly see a hard line right here. Oops. You see, I can see it. Because I'm so used to doing these now, I can see that. And I can see it on the stole also. Now, if you're not good with ombreing and fixing it in the gradient section, you can always place a picture or a name over that and you will not see it. Me, I have too much anxiety. I'm going to see it. So what I usually do is I come in and make another bubble. So we start off with 5 and then we just add color bubbles as we go along. Excuse me. And you'll notice that you'll get used to this the more you make not tumblers, Jesus. The more you make grad stoles. This will start coming easy to you, I promise. So what I usually do is I come in here, this next black one, put that gold in there. And then what I do is I make this a slightly darker gold. So I just click on this little circle and just come straight down to make it just a little bit darker. And so you see how it takes away that hard line? So now that color is A8842B. So that's how I do my ombres. So I usually don't change the blacks, the bottom color too much, only because I start messing around and my fades don't look right. Sometimes I do come in here to the last of the darkest color coming from the bottom, and sometimes I do just change the transparency just a little bit so it can blend just a little bit more. And as you can see, if I put this back on 100, you can see right here, let me bring down a line. You can see about right here where it looks like it's going to be a hard line. When I see that, I go back into my gradient, and then I go in and I change that transparency just a little bit. I don't think I go past like 80. So to me, that looks like a better fade. So now we have our ombre. So that's how you ombre the stole. Now, you want to have that same ombre on this side. You don't want it to be a different color unless they specifically ask for that. Now, how you can achieve this, you can do this one or two different ways. You can either take this out, so click on the right side and hit the delete button. You can either take that out and click on the left side and then hit duplicate and then just bring it over. You can do that, or you have the option of clicking on the right side, coming up here to color, and then here is your pre-made gradient ombre color. So if you just click on that, it matches it right up with the left side. So you have two different ways of doing that. You can choose whichever way is easiest for you. Now we have this set. I don't know why I feel like she's not going to like this black to gold, only because that gown is purple. But for video purposes, I'm just going to leave it at that so you guys can see how I do this. So now moving on. Now for her, she wants the school logo and the mascot. I've already done this school, so I'm just going to go into my uploads and scroll down and go and get it, because I just did this one not too long ago. Where is it? I know it's coming up because I see the guy. Okay, here we go. All right, so these are the same exact two pictures that she sent me, and I already have them here. So I'm just gonna click on this first one. So this is, I'm sorry guys, hold on. Before you upload any pictures, what you want to do is you want to click on the left side, right click. So you see this little box, and then go down to lock, and you want to lock it. And you want to do that to both sides. We're locking this because if we don't, like you just seen, once you bring something over, it's going to go directly inside that frame. And you don't want that. You want this to stay exactly how it is with the ombre. Now, since we locked it, I just brought over the school logo, and now we're just going to bring over the mascot. So with the mascot, you see it's a black box around it. Now let me show you how to remove the remove the backgrounds out of the photo. So for this one, you just want to click on the box that you want to take the background out of, and you want to go up here to where it says BG remover. BG stands for background. Now, one thing to keep in mind, you do need the pro version of Canva to do a lot of this stuff. I didn't have the pro version at first, and once I started paying for it, it just unlocked so much stuff for me. But for today, I'm going to show you guys how to do everything with not having the pro version. So this video is going to take a little bit longer because I'm going to show you different ways that you can do stuff if you don't have the pro version. So say you have this image, right? and you don't have the pro version, the background remover requires that. Now, if you don't have it, you can always go to remove.bg. Click on that, and you can upload your image here. Let me see. Upload the image here. So go to the image that you have that has the background on it. Hit upload. And then this website should take everything out. Now I can still see the letters here, but you can click on erase restore. Hit the erase button. Get your bubble as big as you want. And then just go in and erase it. Once you do that, you can hit the download button. You can preview it for free. Go here, open it up. And then there it is without the background. And I'll show you, I'll show you when you come over to upload it. So when you come over to upload, so say you don't have the pro version and you did it that way, come over here to uploads, upload the file, and then you can come over and upload what you just did in remove.bg.com. So once it uploads, let's go back up to the top, and then you can bring it in that way. For the ones that do have the pro version, you just click on the picture, hit the BG remover, and then it would take it out for you. Now it doesn't take out the words. So what I do is I just come in, and then I just grab this little dash right here, and then just pull it down. And that way you don't see it. So whichever way you want to do this, if you don't have the pro version, you can still achieve this. You can still get the backgrounds out of your photos. You just have to go to google.com, and then, no, I'm sorry, not google.com. You have to go to remove.bg. All right, so we got past that. Now, I'm gonna just delete one of those. Now what we're going to do is, I always like to start from the bottom and then work my way up. Now you need to know what you're going to have at the bottom of that stole, so that way you know like how much space you're going to be taking up. So let me see. All right, so what I usually do is when I measure my stoles, I notice that you can only go so far when you start noticing that it goes into the neck area. I like to avoid the neck area because I've done it before. I went up too far, and a customer complained, and they were like, when I put it on, you can't see the picture or the word, or and I had to go back and fix it. I had to go back and remeasure everything and shift stuff around. And I just personally like to work smarter, not harder. So what I did was, on the 70-inch stoles, I put the stole on, and I measured down to where it should stop. So when I did that, I noticed that it stops at about 11 inches down from the top. So now what you can do is, since you have those rulers on, you can bring this down to about 11.3. That's where I go. And you can see that number on the left side of the screen. It's at 11.26. I usually like it at 11.3 something. So I put it here. So what I do for myself is I hit the text button, add a text box, and I put neck area. And I do this because when I send these people their mock-ups, they can see why I didn't use that space. They'll see that this is the neck area and nothing is going there unless they request it. So I made that pretty big, and they'll see this when I send them the mock-up. Duplicate it, and then I bring one over here. So now I know with this line right here, I'm not going above that line at all, because it don't even matter how tall you are, how wide you are, it all lays the same. It is, if you stop there, it will not go past, it won't show in the neck area. It's just going to show flat. You'll be able to see everything. All right, we got that out the way. I meant to mention that in the beginning, sorry. So what I usually do is I come down here and I start resizing stuff. Like I said, I like to start from the bottom all the way up to the top. Now, when you're doing these are 5 inches wide. Your stole is not 5 inches wide. It's about 4.5. Well, at least the ones that I use, it's about 4.5. I put it at 5 to leave, I put it at 5 to leave 0.25 on both sides of space that I can kind of play with. I like for my print to be bigger than the stole, so that way I have a little room to work around. Because I noticed that if you put it at the exact measurements, you'll see white at the sides because it's not big. The paper isn't big enough or wide enough. So to avoid that, you just make it a little bit bigger. Like I said, I have it at 5. Now, when you do that though, you have to make sure that these images here, are not too wide. Now, I got this down packed. I know that these need to be either at 4 or just under 4 in width. Because once I lay this paper down, I put the stole on it, I have plenty of room on this side on the right and plenty of room on the left to play with. So nothing gets cut off. And you have to take that into consideration when you're using pictures also. Because when you're putting people's pictures on here and you try to go and try to have the pictures like this, like from edge to edge, something is going to get cut off. You don't want a person's head getting cut off, their legs getting cut off, the arms. You don't want to do that. You don't want words being cut off. So just keep that in mind. So like I said, I don't have this no bigger than 4 inches wide. And sometimes, just to be on the safe side, I do 3.9. And I do that because if you notice, when you look at the stole, sometimes they are wider at the bottom than they are at the top, just slightly. So that's why I'm saying, make sure you leave enough room and make sure you measure them. Make sure you measure the bottom of that stole and make sure you measure the top, because you want to make sure you have enough room for everything. So if the top portion is at 4 inches, you want to make sure that all your letters, your words, your pictures and everything, the width is no more than like 3.8. So to figure that out, you just hit the position button. You can see my width is at 3.95. I'm actually going to put this at 3.9. Yeah, we'll do 3.9 today. So that is that. And I'm going to change this to 3.9 also. I'm not going to leave it to where you can't see it. So what I'm going to do now is, since you can't see, since it's a transparent background, I'm going to go ahead and grab a circle. Now this is what you can do if you have a dark background and then you have a transparent image like this. This is how you can achieve just a white circle. Go over here to elements, click on that, and then you can either type the word circle in there and hit enter, and then you'll get a whole lot of circles. So you can see, so like I said, for video purposes, I'm going to use everything today in the basic mode. Hopefully the fonts that I use are basic and not pro. If not, I'm so sorry, you guys, but I have to use my regular fonts, but we'll cross that road when we get there. So as far as the shapes, I'm going to use all the basic ones. So if you click see all, you'll see just a circle. Now, if you click on that, it'll bring a circle here. I'm not going to use a frame circle because I don't want it dropped into the frame, because all it's going to do is show me another transparent background. So now we have this one. So what we're going to do is we're going to change this circle to a different color, the color that we want. I want a white circle. So I'm going to click on the color button here and hit white. Now we're going to just drag this down, and I'm going to put this right over it. Now, if you start bringing stuff up and you can't see your image, what you need to do is you need to position it behind it, but you can still see both images. Go up here to position, and then you're going to click forward. So that's how you rearrange all your stuff that's sitting on top of each other. When you want to bring an image in front of a different image, you hit forward. If I want to bring that image behind the white circle, I hit backwards. So in this case, I want it to come forward. So I have it forward now. So I'm just going to place it right over it. And as you can see here on the edge that my image is bigger than the white. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to resize it. Okay, so we just want to resize this to the circle. And there we go. So now it's resized. So what we're going to do is I actually want to group this together. Now, how you group it together is you're going to click on the image, go into position, click on layers. Layers show you everything that is on your page. And we can see here that we have our logo of the school, and then this one, the circle. Now what you want to do is you want to click on the image that we have, and then you want to hit the shift key and then click on the circle. So now both of these are highlighted. Since they're both highlighted now, what you want to do is hit group. Once you group them together, you can move both of them at the same time. So now they're stuck together. So now what we want to do is we want to bring it down here, and pay attention to like those little purple lines, because that purple line is telling me that it's the same, it's in the same location as that mascot on the right. So it's showing that it's proportionate to it and it won't be uneven. So now what we need to do is we need to go to arrange, and then we need to check the width. The width is at 3.7, which is good because, like I said, we want to stay within that 4-inch width. Okay, so now let's bring this out. And what we're going to do now is I typically like to, excuse me, I like to put the name on the right side. On the right side of the stole, and then on this side I do pictures. Depending on how many pictures they send me is going to determine if I'm going to add all the pictures on the left side or do some on the left and some on the right. And it also depends on if they want scriptures or quotes and stuff like that. In this case, looking at this lady's order, she wants me to put his name, and his name is pretty long, so that's gonna be the only thing on the right side. Once you do more stoles, you'll start to realize. I'm so sorry, guys. I feel like I'm getting sick. Once you start doing stoles more, you'll start to realize how to lay everything out. Like once you get the order, you'll start to see like, okay, I know exactly where I'm about to lay this stuff out. But it takes time. It took me about 10 to understand like, oh, okay, this is how I'm going to do this. So if it's your first time, second time, or third time, don't worry. You're going to be shifting stuff around like all the time. And it's okay, because then you're going to learn what works for you. And that's the goal, right? Is to learn what works for you. So now that I have, I actually didn't like it down there. I want it to be centered of the circle. Okay, so now since we have the bottom going and together, now what I'm going to do is I'm going to add his name. We're going to do pictures last because that's probably what's going to take up the most time. So we're going to hit text, add a text box. And then what I'm going to do is make this a little bigger. And now I'm going to type his name. She wants bold letters for him and not cursive, which is great. All right. So this is going to be his name. Now, I like the look of the offsets on the names. So what I usually do is I take the name, turn it, and make sure it's at 90 degrees. It works this way for me. This what the name facing that way works for me, facing to the left. You can do it to the right. Just turn it around. Do it however you like. Nobody's right, nobody's wrong. It's a personal preference. So just whatever you do, just make sure this is at 90 degrees. That's the normal thing to do. So when it's at 90 degrees, I make it a little bit bigger. And keep in mind that line. You don't want to go past that line, okay? So now once you start adding the actual font, it's going to change in size. So I'm going to come over here to where it says Canva Sans. Click on that. And I have my recently used is what I use all the time. And you can see the intro rust is the pro option. I'm probably going to use that for his scripture. So you just have to find, if you don't have the pro version, you just have to find a different text or font for that. Now for the name, for men names, I either use Sports World or Gaggalin, I don't know. So I click on that. And then what I do is I come up here to effects. And then you have different options of styles that you can choose. I choose the outline. And I'm going to change this outline to white. You see the color bubble here. Go up here, change it to white. And then what I do is I like it a little bit thicker. I notice when I make this font thicker, I notice when I use this font and I make the outline thicker, it gives like a little ruggedness to it. And I feel like it's more manly. And you'll see that as I make the font bigger. So I go up to however far I want the thickness to be for the outline. And I go ahead and make it a little bit bigger. And it looks small here, but it's not small once you print. I promise you it is not. And so you can see what I mean about you see how it has like little, I don't know what those are, but it looks a little manly to me. And I like how the font has like those little splots in it. I don't know, just give it a little bit of character definition, whatever you want to call it. Now there's different options that you can do. I've done, actually, you know what? I'm not going to get into that. We're just going to keep it basic today. So that is his name. And it's, like I said, it is super long. So that's the only thing that's going to go on this side. Now what we're going to do is she wants a total of 4 pictures. Going to come over here to uploads. And I am going to, oh, you know what? I haven't sent it to my laptop yet. Give me 1 second. Okay, now they're at my laptop. So I'm just going to upload these images. Okay. So when I bring in the images, I always ask the customer, do you want me to take out the backgrounds? And like I said earlier, you can either do it in this app or you can go to remove.bg and remove them. So if you have the pro version, just click on the picture, hit background remover, and then that. And so you'll see you'll have a lot of space because that background was there. So what you want to do is you want to just take it and then, you know, get rid of all that extra space that you do not need. Okay, so we're just going to move him over here. This one, let's remove the background. Okay, and then we're going to... Now, okay, so this picture might not work, and I'm probably going to send her a message and tell her this. And it's not going to work because the picture is going to be super small because it's so wide. So you see how I would have to bring it, because you know, like I said, the width needs to be less than 4. So if I bring this down to 3.9, 3.8, look how small that picture is opposed to this one. So I'm going to have to tell her I'm not going to be using that photo. They need to send you photos that's not so wide. I'm telling you, I've had people send me like a group photo of like 12 people, and I'm like, yeah, so that ain't going on there. I can tell you right now. Okay, so we're gonna size this. Okay, so that looks good. And then the last picture. Okay. Take away all that empty space. And we're taking away all this space, especially on the sides, because you really need to know the width that you're, like real time width that you're using. Because like I said, you want everything to be below 4 inches. And if you have like all this space out there, it's going to show the width, not the correct width. Okay, so now we have that together. So we have all the pictures with the backgrounds out. Let me see. Let me zoom in on this. So when you zoom in, you're able to get closer to the edges. If you're out too far, it likes to snap, and I don't like when it snaps like that because then I don't get all the space that I need. So this is what I mean. So say I'm back like this far, looking at it like this, and I'm trying to bring this in to like the edge of his arm. You see how it's snapping? You don't want that. So you just want to zoom in. Whoops. And then you can take it and go as far as you need. Now, make sure you pay attention to the whole picture because I almost went into his arm here and his pen stops there. So this side, this is the most outer part. So I'm just going to bring it into that. Okay. All right. So now we're set for that one. All right, so you got a couple of options to do when you have pictures. So let me move this one over. You know what I might want to do for his name? I think I'm going to have his name, like I did this other one. I'm going to have his name about right here. And let's see, do I want to do that? Let me see. Because I did this before. Make it a little bit smaller. And bring it over. Yeah, I think I'm going to do that for this. Bring this in just a little bit. Okay. There's so many, you guys, there's just so many different options. Like you really just have to come in Canva and play around with this. And I'm going to upload all the stoves that I've done. So that way you guys can get a little bit more ideas of how I did them. Let me see. Okay, so like I said, there's so many different things that you can do with the pictures, okay? So let's start here. If you click on one picture and you go up here to this edit button, You click on that. There's a whole bunch of different things that you can do. Now, I'm not going to go through all these because I have not went through all of them already. So I don't want to be just as confused as somebody else. Now, what I do use though, is I go down here to this FX effects and I click on shadows. Now, with shadows, you can glow the image and you can like change the size of the glow. I've done that before. So you see how it's changing the picture. You can do that. You can do the drop shadow, which drops it on the right side, or you can change the angle on the left to the left or right. So you see how it's moving the picture around. So you can get that shadow wherever you want it. And then you can change like how far out the shadow is. You can change the intensity of it, how dark it is. I actually like this. I might do this the next time. And then you can change the blur amount, like how soft it is and how hard it is. And then you can come over here to, I'm going to do outline last because that's the one I'm actually going to use. You can use curved, which it shows at the bottom. You have those same options, the blur amount, the distance, how far you want the blur to be, the curve on it. And you can actually change the color on these too. So you can change the color of the outlines. I wouldn't do that for purple, but you get the picture. You can use page lift. So that shows something totally different. You can do that, or you can do angled where it's only on, where it's like shows like a diagonal look on the picture. Change the blur amount, the intensity of it. You can use the backdrop where it only shows at the bottom part of the picture. And you can change that blur amount, the color. You can do all type of stuff. So you just have to play around with that and see which one fits for you. Now I'm going to use outline. So I'm going to change the size of the outline to not be so big. I just want a nice little cartoonish looking outline. So I'm going to go down to about 15%. And I'm going to change this to white. So I clicked on the bubble here, changed it to white, and I'm going to leave the intensity how it is, because if I go down and make it more transparent, it's going to start looking gray, and I don't want to use gray, or I don't want it to look gray because that's not in the color scheme. So I'm going to change every photo like that. So I'm going to take that photo, click edit, shadows, outline. Size is going to go back down to 15 like the other one, and keep everything consistent too. When you start changing stuff around, make sure you're paying attention to these numbers. Everything needs to be the same because it would just look weird. So 15 and white. All right. So now we got that. So like I said, I'm going to have to tell her I can't use this one. It's too wide. All right, so do I want... Okay, so I think I'm going to switch these photos around. I want this one at the bottom. And this one here. I'm going to make this a little bit longer, a little bit bigger. Actually, no, I'm not. I'm going to make it a little bit smaller. Now, so I want, okay, so you see how it's going behind the name? So let me zoom in. So I want his arm to be on top of the letters. So like I showed you earlier, you click on the image that you want to move, hit position, and I want to bring this forward. So I'm going to make it a little bit smaller so that way you can still see the M in his name. And it's going to be just like that. And like I said earlier, remember, keep in mind that you're going to lose some sides over here. So just make sure he's not all the way to the edge, because you will lose his arm when you press that. And the last thing you want is to be losing stuff you don't need to be losing. Now, you can see his leg is on top of the head, which I don't want. And I actually want this just a little bit smaller. So what I'm going to do is I am going to bring him forward also, because I want this in front of the leg, but I want his arm in front of the name. So we've already messed around with this picture. Now we're going to take this one, go into position, and we're going to forward it. So now, and okay, so you see what it did. Okay, so let me go back. So this picture, this image is behind two different things. So it's behind the name and it's behind the leg. So when I hit forward, you're going to see the right side of his like elbow come in front of the end. So when I hit forward, that came in front. Now, but his head is still in front, behind the leg. So you need to hit forward again. Now, once you hit forward again, now it lays out exactly where I want it. Let's go back out. Now, what I want to do is, since I like how this looks here, I am going to click on this, hit my shift button. Now, there's two different ways you can do this. You can hit the shift button and then click on this image and the name, and then I'm going to group it. Or you can go into the layers and highlight all the things that you want to highlight and group together. I like to use the shift button. It's just a little bit easier for me. Whatchamacallit. And so what we want to do now is go into position and look at and go to arrange and make sure the width is not more than 3.9. And it's not. It's at 3.77. I just want to make sure it's in the middle, so that way when I press this and I lay the paper over the stole, it does not cut off any of the letters or, you know, any of that stuff. Now we're done. I'm kind of done with this side. Let me see. I might add something else because there is room. I might put that scripture right here. I don't know. Let me see. I'm not sure yet. So I'm going to, let me see. Let me make sure this is less than 4. It is. It can actually, I'm going to leave it at 3.5. So I'm going to bring this up here. Okay. So now we have all this space here and some space here. So let me see, what else does she want on this? Okay, so we're going to add the class of 2025. So how we're going to do this, I usually do them different ways. I like when it says class of along the side of the 2025. So I'm going to show you how to do that. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to grab the text button here, add a text box, and then I'm going to put 20 and then hit enter and then 25. Now, of course, that doesn't look right and it's ugly. So what we're going to do is we are going to come up here and use this stuff here. Now, before we use any of these buttons, we're going to change the font to, I use Sports World when I do 2025 because it's like the varsity letters. I'm probably going to have this in white. So I'm going to change the font to the text color to white. So you're going to go up here to text color, click on that, hit white, and then I'm going to do the effects and I'm going to outline it black. And I'm going to change the width, the thickness of that. Do I want this black? Because it's going into the black part. Let me see how it looks with black font and then white. Okay, that's how we're going to do it. We're going to do black font and then a white outline. So I don't like my outline too thick on these words. So I'm just going to put it at 75. And keep in mind, Sports World is a font that you can use if you don't have the Pro version. Now, I don't like this gap in between the 2025. And so how you adjust that is you're going to come up here to where you see spacing. So it has those arrows and the 3 lines. So you're going to click on that, and then you're going to go to line spacing. So we're just going to move it left or right, however you want to do it, and you can see it's moving. I like mine's kind of pretty close to it, so it's all the way to the left side. Now, you can change the alignment also. If you just click on it like this, it changes the alignment, which we don't need to do. We need it to be centered, so we're just going to leave it alone. Now, I'm going to make this a little bit bigger. And I'm trying to think, do I want to put class of on top or on the side? So if I make this a little bit smaller, not bigger, excuse me guys, and then I bring it over just a little bit, what we're going to do is we're going to have class of on the side of the 2025. So we're just going to get another text box and then make it a little bit bigger so you can see. And then you're going to type in caps class of. Okay, let's make this a little bit bigger. All right, so this font I am going to use the one that's in the Pro. I like this font, Intro Rust. I really like that font. So I'm sorry, but this is one part that is only going to be for the Pro version. And let's see, I'm going to make it just slightly bigger, and I'm actually going to change this font to purple. And you know, okay, so when you start uploading stuff, you'll see when you change colors that over here on the left side, you see where it says photo colors, it'll start mocking the colors of each picture that you use. So that way your colors stay consistent. That is a great option. I love that option. So I'm going to make the words purple, and then I'm going to change the outline to white. I'll make it a little bit thicker. And so now what I'm going to do is I'm going to grab it and I'm going to turn it 90 degrees. And then I'm going to bring it right here to the side of 2025. I'm going to make it a little bit smaller. I hate when it snaps because you need to zoom in order for it to not snap like that. So that way you can move stuff around the way you want. Okay, now I like it like this. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to click on class of, hold down the shift key, and then click on 2025, and I'm going to group it so it stays together. So now when I move it or I change how big I want it, everything stays proportionate. So we're going to make this about 3.7 and bring it to the middle. Just like that. All right, so now we got the class of right there. And so now she wants a scripture, and she's going to use Philippians 4:13. So now I'm going to add another text box. And like I said, I like that text that I usually use, which is the intro Rust. I'm going to use that one. I'm sorry again. But I'm telling you, the more you start using Canva, you'll eventually pay for it. So I'm just going to put the scripture here. I can do all things through Christ who strengthens me. You guys, please check your spelling. Oh my God. I messed up the spelling on one word, the other day, and sent me through the roof. Philippians 4:13. Okay. Alrighty, now we are going to. All right, so I don't like how there's a lot of space in between here because I'm already starting to lose space now. I'm not working with too much no more. So I'm gonna bring this in to where it is 3.6. And we're gonna change this font size. Now, you guys, when you are making these, your customers are gonna think this stuff is small. It is not small when you start when you print it on that paper. It is not small at all. So don't let nobody talk you into making stuff too big because it is just not gonna look right. So you can see I'm resizing the picture so that way I can fit this here. So I think I'm gonna bring this down just a little bit, bring this up, and it's okay if it's on this foot. And so I am going to, what width am I at? I'm at 3.6. That's perfect. I'm going to put a outline around this so you can actually see it. It'll pop more. Now I make these thick. When I do words, I make the outlines really thick so you can see it. Okay, let's make sure this is spelled. I can do all things through Christ who strengthens me. I cannot believe I messed up those words. Okay, so I don't like all this space in between strengthens me and Philippians. So I'm going to go back up here to spacing. And I'm just going to change that. And it is not changing. I don't like that. Let me see something here. I don't want it there either. Okay, so since I changed the font size, it made it more space because the font size is bigger at first. So once I went back and hit backspace and then hit enter, it gave me the right the right space that I needed. So I'm thinking about changing this font size maybe just a little bit bigger. Let me see, it's already at 27. That's pretty big. Let me see. .8. All right, we are gonna leave that alone. All right, so if you back out, I like for my stoles to look full. I feel like I want these people to get their money's worth. And so I like them to get everything on here that they want. Now what I'm gonna do is she wants the school name on here also, and so this is the perfect area to put it right in here. So I'm just gonna add another text box, and then Elite Public School. Okay, let me change this font to white since we're in a black area. Or do I want to do purple? Let me do purple. Purple and white. I try to, add enough colors in there so it matches the school. And, to throw it, like, I don't try to have all the font black and then the white background. I try to make it a little different so that way it can be a little colorful. And another thing I do is I try not to do everybody's stole the same. I don't, because this is another person that's going to this school, and I've made 3 at this school already. I don't want them walking around with the same looking stole, because what fun is that? So I'm just going to go in and make sure everything is sized correctly. And, excuse me. what I'm going to do now is I'm going to add like some little elements in here because it looks pretty plain right now. So I don't know if I want to add smoke. For men, I usually do smoke, lightning, or like fire, stuff like that. For women, I do stars. I do like diamonds. And even, but you know what? Even for the men, I'll do like, if you come over here to elements, there's so many different things that you can do. So like let me go into my recent, like you can use like grudge stuff, like the splots. Like you can add stuff like this in there just to give it like something. I think with him, I might do these spots. Do I want to do spots? So these are called, I'm sorry, I had to go back and look and see what I use. So you can either, so in the elements, you can type in smoke, and then you can go into see all and see which ones aren't pro. The good ones are pros, and it's like what you can do is you can take the smoke like this and, you know, add it on here. But this one is a pro one. This one is not just the basic version. This is why it's really good to have the pro version, because there's so many different elements you can use. So you can do the smoke one. So this is one that's not pro. That's smoke. This one is smoke. And keep in mind, you can also change the colors on these. So when the box pops up and you see the color circle pop up, you can always click on it and change the smoke color. So you can do that. So this one isn't a pro. This one is just the basic version. And you can do lightning. And so let me find one that's not a pro. So all my pro users, those are the ones that you can use. Let me find a good one that's not the pro version. And if you can't find what you're looking for, you can always switch it to Thunder. And let's see. Dang, all these are... So like you can use this one if you don't have the pro version. And you can kind of like play with it and crop it. And like turn it around and stuff like that. And you can change the color of the lightning. Change it to purple. Change it to white. Change it to black. Whatever, you know, your color scheme is. And you can type in stars, and then you can look at see all. You can always bring stars in here. Like there's so many different options. So say like if he plays basketball. You know what, I just realized that. So you know what I might want to do? So to make things like a little bit different, instead of using the 0, you can type in basketball, and let me try to find one. Okay, so this one isn't a pro. This one is a regular one. Is one for basic users. So what we can do is position it and bring it forward in front of everything, and then you can make it smaller and cover that 0. And then you can do that, make it a little different. So instead of it just being a 0, since we see here that he plays basketball and football, you could use either, oh man, he got it going on. You could either do the basketball, or you can grab a football. And this is just to, you know, make it a little bit different. Like you don't just have to use just all numbers. So like you can do that and bring a football here just like this and turn it so that way it kind of covers the 0. I actually like the basketball. I'm gonna bring that back over here. And I mean, you can do like all your little like, don't get me wrong, like the basic version is just as good as the pro version. The pro just gives you a ton of different things to use. So say like you want to, sometimes they have the fire with the basketball. So you can like come in and get a flame or type in flame or fire. These are all pros. And then like, let's see, back it out, make it a little bit smaller, or a lot smaller. I mean, there's all types of stuff you can do. Like put the, sometimes you see fire coming from the basketball, whatever. Like if you have more space, you can like, stuff like this, or like make sure, like just do it how, like even like that. Like, I mean, that just made it look totally different. So see, like there's a ton of things that you can do in Canva. I freaking love Canva. I try to use Photoshop and it just don't work for me. Now, if you want to look for like a wider type of flame, just keep scrolling and just look for something else that'll pop up for you. I think I'm good with that one. And so then what I want to do is, I'm not going to use lightning since I have this flame right here. I'm probably going to use, so you can go into paint splatter and bring up all these different paints, and you can change the colors on these. So like, let's use this one. So we're going to use this one. Just make it a little bit bigger so that way you can actually see the paint splatter. And then you can like put it behind him. And then when you pull this up and it's too big, what you can do is just double click on it, and then you're going to see all this smart crop stuff come up, and then you can just size it to where you want it to be, just like that, and then hit done, and then there you go, and now you got paint splatter. And so go into position and move it backwards, move it behind him, so that way it's not on the words and it's not on him. And so you see, it's not on him and it's not on the words, and it just gives it like a little pop or whatever. And then you can duplicate it, hit duplicate, and then you can bring it over here. And if you don't want it to look the same, you can just turn it around like that and just put it here, and go into position and then move it backwards so it's not on the words or on the player. And just keep in mind, when you press it, some of these dots are going to get cut off, but the point is you have something there. And so there we go. So let me show you how it looks with all this, without all this stuff on there. So when you send it over to send your mock-up over to your customer, this is what it's going to look like. And if you want to, like I do, because I don't have time to be going back and forth with people, so I like to make stuff self-explanatory. I just add that text box over here that says neck area, so they know that's the reason why nothing is here. 9 times out of 10, nobody wants anything in this area unless you're doing one of those full stoles where it's like, like a background print or color all the way up to the top, then it goes up to the neck area. But in this case, it's really not. And like I said, when you do your ombres, you don't have to go up this far. This is just how far I go up. If you just play with those bubbles, then you'll be good. And so I'm going to send this over to her and see if she likes it. And if she does, I'm just going to go ahead and print it. And like in that last video, I just, slice it all up for me to be able to print on the 8.5 by 14 paper. And then I go from there. So this is my version of the basic. This is just a basic example of how I make my grad stoles. So you can go from there. Hopefully this helped somebody. Hopefully you learned a little bit of something, and that way it just opened up your mind to exploring more in Canva like it did for me. And if it does, like, show me what you did, tag me and stuff, send me to your group, your pages on Instagram, whatever the case. You can send me stuff there so I can see it. Hopefully it helped. And that will be that for today. So, like I said, follow, like, subscribe, comment, whatever you want to do. And I will see you guys next time.